Welcome to the Friday edition of Filmmaker Brunch. And today we are still going through WatchMojo's top 100 movie scenes of all time. And I'm going to break down each one of those scenes based on what stands out about it, what makes it good, what choices the directors are making, all that kind of fun stuff. Today we get to talk about a fun one. This is the scene where Superman saves Lois Lane from Superman the movie, 1977, 76, 77, sometime in there. So let's take a look at it. Let's dig deeper into it and figure out exactly what's going on. All right, this scene is this one here. You know what? I didn't share my... Let me try this again because I didn't share the audio. This is a good one because this is one of the first superhero films of all time. So it'd be really fun to get into this one and see it in a little bit more detail. Let's check it out. Again, we start out with a really interesting shot because we start out with a shot that is a close-up clearly of the landing pad, right? Now, I don't know what came before this. There could have been a wider shot of the helicopter, but we go from a very close-up shot to then seeing Lois run to the helicopter. And then we get the wide shot. So it's interesting to watch director and editor choices, right? Obviously, the director filmed this from the close on the lights. You can see the lights now. These lights right here. This was a close on one of those. To then the sort of the shot of her getting in the plane. And then, I don't know if you'd call that a medium shot. It feels more like, it feels bigger than a medium shot, but whatever you want to call that. And then finally the wide shot establishing we are in Metropolis and the Daily Planet helicopter is sitting on top of it. Really cool shot, by the way. It has the Daily Planet over here, just to let us know that there's a news desk guy even here. It's just even a Coca-Cola machine. How cool is that? And then of course you've got the helicopter with the Daily Planet on it. So some directors will choose to shoot. Obviously, it's very common to do the establishing shot first. Here's where we are. Then you get into more of the details of the people. This is almost like a reverse of that, which other directors will do, and it's a very interesting technique to try that. Again, I don't know what came before this, so they might have had another scene where I've seen the movie. This scene is only this long because of the YouTube clip that I've picked to watch. So, but already very interesting shot choices. Okay, so now we know a little bit more about why they gave us the close-up, because something is happening with that wire where the light is.
A malfunction. Can't get the phone. Hold the cable. Hold the cable. Set it down. Set it down. I got stabilizer motor control. I can't hold it. I can't.
One of the things I've been talking a lot about is the complexity. It's such a dark scene, by the way. It's hard to see all the detail. About the complexity of shooting these kinds of scenes. I mean, you're having to deal with a helicopter. Look at all the different shot choices that we have. He puts her in the helicopter. We get the wider shot. We get the close-up again to let us know what's going on. We have a shot from inside where the people are watching the helicopter leave. The number of shots that are captured here, I'm sure this was filmed on film. They didn't have digital cameras yet. So you're dealing with film cameras. This is like a very complex shot. But one of the things that I love is that, again, we're capturing emotion. We capture Lois's emotion. We already know that Lois is a pretty tough lady, right? They've established throughout the course of this film that Lois is a very tough lady. But she's afraid in this scene. And they're showing us that she's afraid in the scene because things are going wrong. Which, again, I think with film, you could just shoot this with never showing Lois's emotion, and I think that you would have a less interesting and engaging film, because human emotion is what draws our empathy into what's going on, or our sympathy, depending on if it's we're feeling Lois's emotions or just kind of enthralled by what she's experiencing. And I talked about complexity. Here's another shot shooting down. It looks like they're shooting down from, it looks like a pretty stable shot. So it's probably like the roof of another building or something. And getting this angle of the helicopter flying, that'll get a stunt pilot to fly this around. And then there's that angle. And that angle is like barely a shot that we even get. This angle right here, where we're seeing and this is a cool shot, because you've got the Daily Planet in the background there. You've got the sparks in the foreground, meaning, okay, this is even getting worse. And then you've got the plane in the background, which is, I mean, a very cool, very well composed, very cool shot. Skyline in the background, phenomenal. And then you up the stakes by having the helicopter actually run into the Daily Planet booth, which is obviously a genius move as well. Again, way more expensive, because now you've actually got to destroy. It's kind of obvious they're going to destroy the helicopter, but they're going to destroy the little shack on top of the building too. Now that's a cool shot. This is such a cool shot, and look at like how much screen time it has. Like I don't know, maybe a full second of screen time. But look at, there's this shot. And then goes back to her, and then there's this shot of the people diving over, and you got the whole thing going through. I mean, that's just super cool. Now, that's a really interesting. I would love to see the behind the scenes of how they accomplish that, because this is they sell it in a pretty convincing manner. That looks like the helicopter is airborne, right? But then it crashes. And I don't think they just crashed the helicopter. I mean, that'd be wild if they were able to do that. I don't know if they've got it on top of they've got a crane on top of it with the helicopter on it or something. And then they have to make this explosion happen too. And then Lois said, "Wake up," because the pilot seems to be unconscious, which then makes matters worse. So this is, again, we talked about this yesterday with the gladiator scene, and this is number 99 on the top 100 scenes, according to WatchMojo. And gladiator scene was 100. But one of the things that great scenes do well is they keep ramping up the stakes. So it starts out, and Lois gets in the helicopter, and it starts to get out of control. Okay, an out of control helicopter. If you could have Superman come in and save Lois while the helicopter's out of control. But then you have the helicopter crash into the little Daily Planet booth on the roof. That makes the stakes way worse. Other people are in danger now. Then you have the pilot become unconscious. The helicopter starts hanging off the edge. All of these things are ramping up they're building dopamine in us, because we're going, oh my gosh, how is this going to end? And it's ramping up the stakes of what could happen to Lois here. Now, I don't know how they shot that, but that's a really cool shot too. Because there's a lot of these shots that are like kind of chaotic. But that shot right there, where you've got Lois screaming, kind of hard to see because it's a little bit dark on my screen. You got Lois screaming right here, and then you've got, okay, she's above the street, right? That's a really cool shot. And I mean, this is going to be, I don't know how they did this. I'm not watching we probably find it behind the scenes somewhere about how they did this. But obviously this could have been done practically. She could be in a harness, and that could actually be the street below them. I have no idea, but it's very effective at selling what's going on here. Now we get to switch perspective, and we get to see what people down below are experiencing by looking up. And then we actually get their POV of looking up. And the POV shot like this is so cool, because it draws all of our attention with the lines straight up to the helicopter. So another very well composed shot where it's like directing our attention. We don't see as much of the skyline, because the skyline actually might be distracting. And yet they light it where the helicopter is really well lit at the top of the building there. So you can see multiple departments coming together to make this scene one of the best scenes of all time, according to WatchMojo. And I'm not going to disagree with that, because of how this was actually shot. It was pretty amazing. So she unbuckles her seatbelt, again, increasing the tension because we know that the helicopter could fall off. But now that she's unbuckled, she could fall out even if the helicopter doesn't fall. And again, that's an amazing shot. I don't know how they did that. They could have just had a helicopter, suspended on a crane and just taken a picture or something and put it behind her. I don't know. Another perspective shot. That one's kind of a cool shot because, there's a cool shot because we get to see that she's moving around in the helicopter. This is a cool shot because we get to see the gravity of the situation. These people are way lower, and we're almost like it's like we're a short person looking up through some tall people to see what's going on there, which is crazy.
All right, come on, step back, folks. All right, let's get back.
Notice how many shots this scene is. It's an insane number of shots. This is why production of film gets so expensive. They're doing all of these different shots, and they're including all of them in the film. So the editing is phenomenal too. But even to show this whole crowd of people, and they're all looking up at what's going on up top of the building with the helicopter, just so many shots to compose all of this. And if you think about how many days it takes to shoot all of this stuff, to arrange, to close down the street. I don't know if this is shot on a studio lot or what. This portion of the shot, obviously the helicopter isn't. Could have been a miniature, I guess, but I don't think so. So pretty crazy how many shots they have and how long this was going to take to produce. Now we're seeing the emotion of the people on the ground. So not only have we seen Lois's emotion, but we're seeing the emotion of the people on the ground. This is a really well composed shot too, and I love the fact that the siren's in the front there. And she's falling, so she has to try and grab something. Well done. Now a little bit more of a clear shot from above, which gives us a little bit more perspective into now she realizes I'm in really big trouble. That's kind of cool too. Again, more expense because now they have a camera on top of a moving vehicle as part of this shot. Oh, it's so crazy. Some audio that's going over it that's just kind of chaotic and showcasing what's going on. Clearly, everyone's worried about this. I'm kind of surprised they haven't cleared the area out just in case the helicopter falls down. But again, we're connecting to the human emotion. So we as the audience are feeling like Lois is in trouble. And obviously, the crowd is watching from above and they're terrified as well, which adds to that whole vibe. That's a crazy stunt, by the way. I'm sure that person has a harness on or whatever, but her falling out of the helicopter is pretty crazy. And then you see, again, I've talked about this. I keep saying this a lot with everything, but the reaction shots are almost as important as the action shot because the reaction shots are the thing that's supposed to signal to us as the audience how we're supposed to feel. You could actually create a comedy out of this, and the people below are laughing at the cartoon character that's falling out of the helicopter. That would create a completely different emotional dynamic than what we're seeing here. So the fact that they have these reaction shots where people are terrified for her is really strong storytelling.
Hold it, get back. Come on, get off the street, folks. Come on.
And then here's Clark Kent just walking through. Now, that's her hat falling down, which is really interesting because her hat fell off a long time ago. They showed us the hat falling down. I don't know if you caught that and so her hat falls down, and it's kind of what attracts Clark's attention, not to mention all these people. Now, I don't remember this film to know whether or not Clark is realizing in that moment that that's Lois's hat. I don't know if they foreshadowed that or not. That would be cool if they did foreshadow it. You'd have to remind me if that happened or not. I haven't seen this movie in a really long time. I've seen it multiple times, but I haven't seen it in a really long time. And then he's realizing oh, I can be of help to this person who's in trouble. Now, not enough can be said for the John Williams score for Superman. And that's part of what makes this scene so amazing. So he's got to find a phone booth, and he's got to turn into Superman. And that's obviously a little joke because he can't use a phone booth that isn't a full entire phone booth. Now, kids watching this in the modern day are going to be watching this and be like, what are you talking about? Because I've never heard of what a phone booth is. Well, kids, we used to, before we had cell phones, if we needed to make a phone call from somewhere and we couldn't walk into a building and ask somebody to use their phone, you could pay to call somebody utilizing these phone booths. And this was like a half phone booth, but he's going to go into a full one. You'll see it in a minute. This is a very classic scene. So they show him running. The camera moves. The camera follows him a little bit too, which is awesome. So he comes running onto the scene. The camera follows him into the street so that we can get this really cool reveal of the fact that he's gonna turn into Superman. And look at the timing on that. The editing timing on that's perfect, right? Like as soon as he pulls open his shirt, we get the swell of the music, which is like perfect timing. Gets us super hyped for what he's about to do. And he doesn't use a phone booth. Sorry, I forgot that this was how he did it. So he spins around in the thing and changes his clothes while he's spinning around in the thing.
Hey, Jim! Woo! Excuse me. That's a bad outfit! Woo! Hey, Breslau, movies get me out!
I think movies in the late 70s, like the idea for blockbuster movies after Jaws came out, mid 70s too, I guess, but just after the advent of Jaws, I think that there's this thing that happens that's really interesting for modern filmmakers, because I don't think we see it quite as often, is this like blending of every single genre. So there's this death-defying thing happening that's very serious, and we see the people's emotions, and that's very serious. But we've already seen like 2 or 3 jokes in this scene as well. And there's this idea that a blockbuster is going to have something for everyone. You don't see that as much anymore. Like, yes, are there funny moments in Christopher Nolan's Batman series? Yeah, there are funny moments, but not like I'm going to stop and have a joke. Like, I'm going to stop and have him pause and be like, well, I can't change in this phone booth because it's not a full phone booth. And then I'm going to come out of the building and there's going to be a guy who's like, hey, that's a cool suit, dude. Like, all of those things were very much a part of like what a blockbuster movie was supposed to be. And I don't think we get those quite as much anymore. You know, there's examples where we do, but it's almost more like if we're going to have a funny movie, it's just going to be funny all the way through. I think their action comedy is still a thing. But it's so fascinating to rewatch a movie from back in the day, and there's just they're trying to get you with every single emotion. I think the most we see that today is sort of like in the MCU. The MCU is pretty good at doing that kind of thing. It's almost like we are setting out to make blockbuster films, and you're going to have a range of emotions, and all the emotions will be in the scene. But it does take a special kind of filmmaker to be able to pull that off, both from a writing perspective, a directing perspective, and then editing it together perspective, because all of those things have to be in harmony for the scene to actually work. And this one made the top 100 of WatchMojo, so there's a reason for that. And then Lois actually falls, which is even crazier to a certain extent, right? Like, in any other world where Superman doesn't exist, this fall means that she's a goner.
Look up there.
What the hell's that?
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me? Who's got you?
Fantastic line. You've got me. Who's got you? Because there's no such thing as a flying man. And this is really well sold by both actors too. Because think about this for a second. It doesn't look, in our generation of special effects, it doesn't look great, him flying. And so one of the things that is the only way that this movie would become beloved is that it's characters who are beloved, but it's also the actors in the scenes really selling the fact that this is happening and that it's not fanciful and that it doesn't look stupid. Because there's another version of this where the actors don't buy into it and it just becomes a complete farcical thing, right? But if you've ever seen any of Christopher Reeve's behind the scenes interviews and things about him becoming Superman, the guy was like, I'm going to be Superman. Like, he was just dedicated to it. This is what is we Juilliard, I think, or one of the big acting schools. He's one of the he was studying to be a professional, serious, dramatic actor, and yet he got cast as Superman and was like, I'm going to bring that to the table. Like, I'm not going to. This isn't farcical. I'm going to be. I'm going to embody Superman. And then Lois, look at the way Lois is looking at him, like with a sense of like, who are you? What is going on here? The movie doesn't work if the people in the movie don't believe what's going on, and they do a really good job of selling this, so applause to them.
You've got me. Who's got you? I can't believe it. I just cannot believe it. He got her.
And then I've talked about this a little bit already too, but this idea that like things keep getting worse. So just when you think everything's gonna be okay, something then goes wrong. And so this is another case of that where it's like, okay, he saved Lois. Now the scene could be over. Scene over. They remove the helicopter off screen. We don't want to show that. But if the helicopter falls, now there's other people on the ground that could be hit. There's other dangers that could happen. Now that shot was phenomenal. I mean, not to mention this shot, which is crazy that they were able to pull this off. But look at this shot. Oh my gosh, look at that shot right there. That's insane. I would love to know how they got that shot. I'm sure if any of you know like a behind the scenes on how they did this, and if there's one on YouTube or something that I could watch, shoot me a link in the comments down below, because I'd love to see how they did this. And look at that shot. That shot's amazing. The thing is coming down at us, and if you're in the theater, this thing's giant, right? This thing's a giant screen of this helicopter just plummeting towards you. And then there's this shot where he grabs it. Now this is obviously probably done on a crane or something. This looks like a green screen almost too. But what great special effects! What a great imagination for the 1970s. And then notice what happens. Now we're all cheering. Everybody's cheering. And so we are watching that going like, oh, I'm supposed to cheer now as well. Composition on that shot's pretty phenomenal too, because you get to see the big logo and you get to see the interest between the two. The eye line between the two is such that she's obviously like now very enthralled with him, and we already know that he kind of has a crush on Lois. So and then obviously eye lines and the line of his arm up to the fact that he's carrying the helicopter. Now, see, I don't even know how they did that either. He's carrying it back over. Maybe the whole thing's on a crane, and they have him hooked up to a device so that he's able to have a. I don't know how they did that, but it's really well done.
Gentlemen, this man needs help. Well, I certainly hope this little incident hasn't put you off flying, miss.
And he like tries to comfort Lois in this moment, and she's looking at him like, you're an insane person. But I mean, like, look at Christopher Reeves, dude. I know that Henry Cavill's an awesome Superman. I love Henry Cavill as Superman. David Cornsweet, great Superman. But I mean, Christopher Reeve, the guy looks just like he walked out of the comic book. It's so crazy.
I certainly hope this little incident hasn't put you off flying, miss. Statistically speaking, of course, it's still the safest way to travel.
Right. Wait! Who are you?
A friend.
I mean, That's the end of the scene. When I said I was going to do this WatchMojo top 100 scene breakdown, I didn't fully know, to be honest with you, what I was getting myself into. I mean, I didn't know what kind of scenes that we were going to watching. Hey, Tony McBride, hello from Los Angeles. I'm an old Los Angeles person. I used to live in Los Angeles, so I have an affinity for Los Angeles. I'm glad you joined us today on the live show. I didn't know what I was going to get into when I started doing the top 100 because a lot of these movies I haven't seen in a really long time. I'm pretty sure I've probably seen most of the movies that they're going to be on this list. I'm sure I haven't seen a couple of them that I'll have to watch. But everything, we can learn from so much by watching these scenes. And I love revisiting scenes for this very reason of going like, oh, they chose to shoot it like that. Oh, the reason why it works emotionally is because of that. The sight lines are in this particular manner so that I can learn how to do these things better as well. So thanks for joining me on this journey. We've done 100. You can watch that one. I did that one yesterday. That's Gladiator. Great scene from Gladiator. I think I enjoyed today's scene even more, so I agree with WatchMojo that it's higher on the list than the Gladiator scene was. But what a phenomenal scene. If you've got any other scenes that you recommend me breaking down, feel free and leave those in the comments below. I'm going to keep working my way through the WatchMojo list, so whatever 98 is next, you'll get that on Monday. Full week of shows this week, and then hopefully next week we'll have a full list of shows as well. So thanks for joining me. Make sure you subscribe for further scene breakdowns. And I'm going to try to get a little bit better at scheduling these at the same time every day because I've been kind of doing them at different times. And it's been, I think, a little bit hard for everybody to show up. So I'll try and come to a conclusion on what time I'm doing these next week. And I'll try and communicate that to everybody throughout this process. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.